And we're back. Mike Cernovich, DangerPlay.com, Gorilla Mindset, Science Mindset. My hair, this is how my hair looks in the morning. I haven't combed my hair yet. RyanCare is dead. Good. What is in RyanCare? What is in RyanCare? I hear people, this is one of the funny things, people talk about what is in RyanCare. Okay? What is in RyanCare? I don't know. Tell me what's in RyanCare. Oh, I'm going to take a nap. Go ahead. Go ahead and tell me, what is in RyanCare. Looking forward. Go ahead, tell me. What is in RyanCare? What is in it? Nobody knows, man. RyanCare is just like Paul Ryan. It's a loser. How did Paul Ryan become Speaker of the House? You know my theory on Paul Ryan, right? You guys want to know my theory on Paul Ryan, how Paul Ryan became Speaker of the House? Okay, Paul Ryan has no charisma. He's not an effective leader. So who would make him Speaker of the House, and why would you want to make him Speaker of the House? You would want to make Paul Ryan Speaker of the House if you could blackmail him. So if Deep State had blackmail information on Paul Ryan, then that is who you would want to become a Speaker of the House. Now, what this blackmail material looks like, I don't know. I don't know what he's involved in or what he's doing, but that's the only explanation. There's no reason. The former Speaker of the House was Dennis Hastert. Dennis Hastert was the prior Speaker of the House. What was Dennis Hastert? The longest serving Republican Speaker of the House was Dennis Hastert, and Dennis Hastert, as we know, raped several children for decades. So we know that the previous Speaker of the House was a pedophile. Pedophiles are very easy to blackmail. If someone is a pedophile, that is why there are so many pedophiles in government. Is if you are a deep state, you want pedophiles promoted. You want pedophiles to rise up through the ranks. Because then you can, John Boehner, different. The longest running Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert. So you want pedophiles to rise up through the ranks because then you can control them. You don't want normal, natural men and women to become Speaker of the House, because what are you going to how would you blackmail somebody like me? How would you blackmail me? Right? You can't blackmail me. You can't own me. Right? You can't own me. You can't blackmail me. So nobody, the deep state, would never promote me. They would never promote me up the ranks, and they would do everything to attack me just as they have. Why do you think conservative media has gone after me so fiercely? Because within National Review and Weekly Standard and stuff, there's a lot of really sick people there, a lot of sick guys. And they see a normal, natural, married man with a child, no dirt. Well, I mean, I have dirt, but that's all stuff out there, right? Like, I've partied a lot. I've used drugs. I've used MDMA. I've used ayahuasca, 5-MeO-DMT. I've done microdoses of LSD, right? That's the only dirt on me is that, whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-doo, I've had a lot of fun, and I've used drugs responsibly. I had used anabolic steroids years ago. You can go look at some of them old pictures. You don't look that way taking creatine and protein shakes. I'll just put it to you that way. I uploaded some Throwback Thursday pictures, and guys go, "Damn, Cerno, what was your regime? What was your regime back there?" Yeah, my regime was same as now. Go to the gym, lift weights, do some cardio, and you take some Trenbolone and some Masteron on top of some TRT, and suddenly physiological changes happen in your body that aren't possible otherwise. But everybody else thinks it's all just creatine and protein shakes. All the YouTube guys, all the YouTube celebrities, it's creatine and protein shakes. That's all anybody does. And if you accuse anybody of doing anything other than taking creatine and drinking protein, then you are a hater who doesn't understand they just have so much discipline. They're just discipline, bros. It's just discipline, and if you don't understand that is how they look that way, then you're a hater. There's so much fraud in the fitness industry. Unbelievable. So much fraud in this world. I'm glad I'm able to make an honest living. Definitely glad I'm able to make an honest living. You have to use anabolic steroids to look that way. You have to use anabolic steroids to look that. You can't look that way naturally. It's just reality. DNA. Welcome to evolution. This is the way it is. Oh yes, today. Hey Stephanie, today, get to the point. Are you talking to me, dude? You're blocked. First the guy goes, Mike, what's up with your hair today? And I let that slide a little bit, and now he's saying get to the point. See, this is why I block people very quickly, because I have an instinct. So Shauna and I, we have some friendly discussions on that, friendly debate. Shauna goes, Mike, you block people too quickly. And I say, actually, no, I don't. Because if somebody's going, oh, Mike, what's up with your hair? You have bedhead. Those are not productive people who are they're going to be snipping at me the entire conversation. So I just block quick. Why? Because I don't need deadbeats and losers watching me. That's the whole point. That's what a lot of people can't understand. A lot of people don't understand this, which is that I don't need trash on my Periscope. I don't need trash reading my blog. I don't need trash following me on Twitter. I don't need trash in my world. I need the real deal. I need real deal, hard-hitting MFers. That's the reality. Oh, I got some new shoes, by the way. Check it out. New Balance Minimus. The best shoes you can buy. They have the similar technology, the Vibram 5 fingers, but you don't have those goofy-looking finger toe things. No, this isn't sponsored. New Balance would not sponsor me. Get out of here, guys. I always like that when people go, oh my God, were you sponsored? Could you imagine if a mainstream corporation sponsored me? The kind of outcry you would get. These are the trail version. Look at them. They're sleek, or fleek, right? These are fleek. And they have the trail shoe pattern. As you can see, I've already been wearing them. They have the little trail shoe pattern. So yeah, New Balance. New Balance is the only shoe I buy. I won't buy Nike. I won't buy Nike because Nike is anti-freedom. Nike is a globalist corporation that uses slave labor. Many of the executives go down to visit those companies like Cambodia where children are unattended and they have their way with children. Many people in Nike do. This is a big thing that nobody wants to talk about. So I definitely oppose. Why do you think so many of those globalist corporations set up workshops in Cambodia? Why do you think they do that? Cheap labor? Oh, you mean cheap sexual slavery labor, little children. That's the real agenda. People don't understand it, though. They're not ready for it. I lived in Vietnam, been in Cambodia. American executives visit those. I heard it firsthand. You know, at the time, I didn't have a big enough platform to really do an expose on it, but I'm working on it now. Executives from Nike, they go, so why were you there? Why did I live in Saigon, Vietnam with Shauna? Why did you get blocked? Because you're a moron. And these American business executives, that's why they go to Cambodia and these countries, is for the children. And I don't mean to support the children. It's just the reality. So yeah, that's the thing. They're, anyway, New Balance, we support New Balance. They're pro-America. What else is going on today? Well, I don't know. I mean, I told you guys RyanCare was a no-go. I said, look, the world has changed. The world, oh, by the way, did you watch the interview or the conversation that Stefan Molyneux and I had on liberal death camps? We talked about the Cambodian genocide. We talked about the Holodomor, also known as the Ukrainian genocide. We talked about Stalin, Mao. We talked about the left and how evil the left is. If you haven't watched it, you must watch it. This is going to red pill a generation of people. My question, the question I posed with Molly Meme, that's what the kids call Molyneux. I'm not that cool, so I can't call him Molly Meme regularly, but that's what they call him. So the conversation with Molyneux was, and the question posed by me was, why is that hammer and sickle not considered a hate symbol on par with the swastika? Nobody ever asks that question. It's it's probably the most important question you can ask in modern time, which is why is it that if you wore a swastika or threw up a Roman salute, well, your life is over. But if you have the hammer and sickle avatar in your Twitter AVI, or you wear the flags or whatever, that genocide, they committed genocide, rape. Read about the rape of Berlin, right? They committed genocide, rape, genocide of their own people, genocide in China, genocide in the Soviet Union, genocide in Cambodia, genocide in Cuba, genocide in Venezuela. So why is it that the hammer and sickle is not, why doesn't it trigger people the way a swastika does? Important questions to ask. Very, very, very important question to ask. And why is it, so that is why the left, when I say they want to kill me, they do. They want to kill me and they want to kill you. I'm not special. I am not special. When I say the left wants to murder me, I'm not saying that I'm unique. I'm not a unique snowflake. They want to murder everybody watching this. The left wants to throw all of us into re-education camps. They want to murder us. And you think, oh, that's not true, Mike. You're overstating it. Berkeley riot. The Berkeley riots. Charles Murray, who's a basic bitch conservative. Charles Murray was actually anti-Trump. Charles Murray is not Mike Cernovich. Charles Murray is a pussy. All right? Even Charles Murray can't get on a college campus. And a woman who wanted to watch his talk ended up in a neck brace. So don't tell me they don't want to kill me and you and everybody watching this and your family. They do. That's what the left wants to do, and that's why we have to stop. They are trying to engage in a form of ethnic cleansing on us in our era of identity politics. 100% true. Just finished Guerrilla Mindset. Loved it. Watching Silence tonight. Smart. Smart. RyanCare, though, not going to go anywhere. RyanCare is a trash bill. I never supported it. We don't support the establishment Republicans. Now we have to get rid of Paul Ryan. I was going to say RyanCare is dead. Paul Ryan is next. But then I realized, well, that'll be taken. You bought Silenced? A lot of you bought Silenced. Well, thank you very much. That I realized I couldn't use as a title. That would be taken out of context. But we do have to get rid of Paul Ryan. We got to get him out of here. No, I do not smoke marijuana. No, I don't use weed. The only drugs I'm interested in are drugs that are performance enhancing and increase your comprehension and understanding of the world. Weed is what people use to run from the human experience. People take weed rather than deal with the issues in their heart, the anxiety, the fear, the vulnerability. Rather than go deep within themselves, guerrilla mindset style, and look inward and address all this stuff that we have in here and put work in themselves and develop richness of spirit. They use weed. Weed is a way to hide. I don't want to hide. I want to face. That is what ayahuasca does. Ayahuasca makes you face whatever your biggest fear is. I wrote about my ayahuasca experience. I did a podcast on it. I'm interested in using medicine that makes you go deep inside yourself and figure out, what am I afraid of? What are my biggest vulnerabilities? What is really holding me back in life? Right? What is holding me back inside? So with weed lets you avoid looking in your heart and looking in your soul and doing that hard work. You got to do a lot of work on yourself. Nobody teaches you this. You have to do a lot of work on yourself. And the work is never over. The work is never done. Any of you guys watch Joey Diaz? Any of you guys watch Joey Diaz? I'm a big fan of Joey Diaz and the Church of the Now, I think. The best podcast is, well, not the best. The podcast that I used to enjoy the most was Bill Burr. Bill Burr used to have the Monday morning podcast. Bill Burr used to have the best podcast. And then Bill Burr decided to have his wife, who he married, and he didn't sign a prenuptial agreement. He legally married her, no prenuptial agreement in California. Okay, Bill. So anyway, Bill Burr got married in California with no prenup. Good job, buddy. So his podcast is just, he doesn't have that edge anymore, right? So Bill Burr had the number one podcast. The Monday morning podcast was the best. And then he lost his edge because he got married without a prenup. No edge. Joey Diaz, though, great podcast. And I'm talking entertaining podcasts. So I've talked about my theory of podcasts before. The best podcast right now is my old episodes of the Mike Cernovich podcast. But it's a unique podcast because I talk about the power of the mind, how to have success. It isn't a traditional podcast where you interview people or you talk about nothing for hours. My podcast episodes are 20 or 30 minutes. To the point, hammer, like in your mind. Smash away the fears and vulnerabilities and the negative emotions and negative thoughts. It's like what it is, a hammer, right? So I have the best podcast of all time for that genre. But I can't say I have the best podcast because Joey Diaz in the Church of the Now is a amazing podcast. He's a funny guy. But Joey Diaz really was, I watched an episode where Joey Diaz was dismissive of ayahuasca. And Joey Diaz said, just do LSD or shoot heroin or something. He's very dismissive of ayahuasca. But Joey Diaz is always talking about how he's using marijuana because he has anxiety. Right? You see what I'm talking about? So why would Joey Diaz be dismissive of ayahuasca, but then use marijuana for anxiety? Well, anxiety is what? Yeah, Joey Diaz, I'm not shading Joey Diaz in the least. Joey Diaz has the best podcast. In terms of if you just want to listen, like you could just play hours of people talking, number one would be Patrice O'Neal. Patrice O'Neal, unfortunately, is dead. But if all you could do was get 5 hours of Patrice O'Neal, his comedy specials, his talks in Opie and Anthony, Patrice O'Neal, number one, greatest of all time. There's nobody even in his league. Patrice O'Neal is different caliber. But if you just want a podcast to listen to, The Church of the Now, I think his name's Joey Diaz. I'm real bad with names, you guys know that. The church, I think it's called The Church of the Now or The Church of What's Happening. I don't know. But just to listen to a guy go on about all kinds of things for hours, Joey Diaz is way up there. Probably the number one show. Probably just the number one bullshitting podcast. I don't want to call it bullshitting. That sounds wrong. A podcast where you just want to listen to a guy talk about random things. Joey Diaz is way up there, right? It's a very fun thing. Yeah, rambling style podcast. Definitely, that'd be a good way to put it. Joey Diaz is way up there. Just listen to a guy talk about a lot of things, tell stories, goof off. Well, Joey Diaz is street smart. Joey Diaz is not a legal or political philosopher, but he's street smart. He has great experiences and he has some insight. But he also talks about using marijuana for anxiety. So what? You're blocked. I already blocked you. I don't know how your next comment got snuck in. You're supposed to be blocked. Hope I didn't accidentally. No, I blocked the same person twice. So a lot of people use marijuana because they don't want to deal with what's causing the anxiety. Anxiety is an inability to be in the moment, to be present. Anxiety is fear of judgment, fear of criticism, fear that you're not enough, fear of inadequacy. So that's why people have anxiety. So the way to treat anxiety is you have to go inside your own heart and in your own mind and think, well, why do you feel inadequate? Why do you feel like you're not enough? Why do you feel like you're not good enough, smart enough, fast enough, rich enough, whatever that enough is? And that's the question everybody has to answer. The fundamental question is, what do you feel like you're lacking? What keeps you up at night? When do you feel like you're not enough? A lot of people, rather than really going deep inside, figuring out why do I feel inadequate, because we all do or we all have at one time before we put the work in. So people like to use marijuana because then that prevents you from having to go deep inside yourself and figure out why you feel inadequate, right? That pain. Spiritual growth is painful. Oh man, doing work on yourself is painful. Definitely Why do I drink wine? Because it tastes good and pairs well with food. Same way, why do I drink iced coffee? It tastes good. I enjoy this experience of it. I don't get drunk, though. And I don't get wired on caffeine. If cigarettes didn't make me physically sick, I could even see smoking a couple cigarettes a day, right? Because it's very relaxing, very relaxing. So yeah, that's the idea. People want to paper over their problems, and that's what people do with marijuana, because nobody teaches you that alcohol is poison. Well, actually it's not. It has life extension properties, but you're blocked from being stupid. You're definitely blocked from being stupid. And nobody tells you, nobody teaches you that the most important project, you have children, obviously. The most important project in the world is you. You are the most important project. Everybody wants to distract you what career you're going to have, what's your major, how are you going to impress people. Nobody tells you the most important work you will do in your life's work has to be on yourself. You have to look inward and confront those fears you have. When I did 5-MeO DMT, that revealed to me that I was terrified of death. Terrified. I never thought that I was afraid of death. And I even had had a glib idea that, well, I've lived a good life, I don't care if I die. I've even said that. I had said that before. I go, I don't care if I die. I've lived a good life. I've lived a better life than everybody, kings and queens even. I've lived a better life than most people could even comprehend. And then I did 5-MeO DMT, and it told me you're lying to yourself. It revealed the medicine, the DMT-type molecules, the entheogens, the spiritual molecules. They will tell you you are lying to yourself. It is going deep inside you and calling you out on your own bullshit in a way that no other person has ever done. So the 5-MeO DMT showed me, you are terrified of death. You are so full of shit. You are so glib and boastful and proud. You are terrified of death. Don't ever tell anybody, including yourself, because the hardest person to be honest with is yourself. So I lied to myself for years about, I'm not afraid of dying. So it revealed to me you are terrified of dying. And then I did ayahuasca. And ayahuasca made me confront the deeper fear, the emotion of fear as itself. Fear qua fear. Not what are my greatest fears, but just the emotion, the experience of fear. The ayahuasca made me confront that, which was an experience that I was glad to have done. Am I still afraid of dying? Well, I just told you that the hardest person to be honest with is yourself, and the hardest person to be honest with is other people. Well, it's actually easier to be honest with other people than yourself. Because if you lie to yourself, it's easy to lie to other people. This is another thing nobody talks about. If you lie to yourself, then it's very easy to lie to other people because you don't feel like you're lying. You think you're telling the truth. If you had put me on a lie detector test 5 years ago and said, do you fear dying? I would have said no, and I would have passed the polygraph. Because I lied to myself at such a deep level. Then I realized that you have to be honest with yourself. But it's very hard to be honest with yourself. Because we don't want to know the truth about ourselves. We don't want to know the truths of our fears. Right? We don't want to know the truth. Just like all these people who troll me and attack me, do you know why they do that? This is way too metaphysical for most people. But why do you think people attack me so much on a daily basis? Why do you think they attack me? Because I remind them of everything they're not. I remind them of everything they're not. I remind them of everything that they are not doing. So rather than look into themselves and say, wow, why does Mike make me feel inadequate? Why does he make me feel insecure? Why does he inspire this hatred in my own heart? That's the work. That's the work. The work is to figure out, wow, why do I really hate this guy? Well, it's because I really hate myself. He's reflecting back my own inadequacies, right? But they don't want to do that, so they would rather hate me. They'd rather hate me than love themselves. Think about that. People would rather hate me than love themselves. They would rather hate you than love themselves. Because when you love yourself, you have to put the work in. Most people don't love themselves, and that's why they're full of hatred for me and other people. They have no self-love, which is the most important skill you have to learn. You have to learn self-love. You have to learn to trust yourself, to not beat yourself up when you make mistakes, as we all do. The way I put it in Gorilla Mindset is that if you talked to your family and friends the way you talk to yourself, you would never have friends. If you talk to your friends the way you talk to yourself, you effed up this time, you really screwed up, you're always making a mistake, I can't believe it, you're not good enough. If that dialogue that you have running in your heart all the time and running in your head all the time, if you talk to anybody in the world like that, you would have no friends. Well, why then do you talk to yourself that way? Why would you talk to yourself in a way that you would never talk to anyone else? Because nobody has taught you how to love yourself and how to treat yourself. Here's the way they teach you. You feel bad, go do shopping. Go do consumerism. Go do commercialism. You guys look at me. I wear the same clothes all the time, right? I could afford to go shopping all the time. I don't go shopping. For me, when I buy a new pair of shoes, Shauna's like thrilled. Oh my God, you bought new clothes. You bought a new pair of shoes. Because I don't need retail therapy, because I do the work in myself and I love myself. But nobody wants to teach you that because you're harder to control. If you have a person who loves yourself, if you love yourself, you're very hard to control. If you know who you are as a person and what your real values are and who you are as a man or a woman, then very hard for people to control you. You have freedom then because you know who you are. You don't need the validation of other people. That's real power. That's real freedom. But nobody wants to teach you that. Nobody wants to teach you that because how could they control you? They can't. So then they want to hate you and send people after you. So remember that. People hate you. People would rather hate you than love themselves. I don't know if that's an original quote. Maybe it just came to me. Just popped into my head. Maybe I read it somewhere. But I'm going to do a Google search to see if that's an original Mike Cernovich quote. Which is, people would rather hate you than love themselves. Another Mike Cernovich original is, do not define your identity based on the lowest point of your life. This is another mistake people make, and we'll talk about this in another podcast at Periscope. I got to get going here in a minute. But we all have made mistakes in our lives, and we've all done things that we wish we had done. That's called being a human being. Called being a human being. What people want you to do to control you is they want you to define yourself as the lowest point. So if you made a mistake in your life, if you did something wrong, if you committed an act that you don't agree with, or some kind of sin or something, that's how they want to define you. And then you accept that identity. Suddenly then your whole life is over, right? You got to define your identity based on who you are. Not your lowest point in your life, but that's what most people do. I know most people, man, I could have done this. I could have done that. Well, that is the low point of their life because they realized that they had a mistake that they had made, and they wanted to find their identity based on what they didn't do. But there's still time. There's still time. That's what people don't understand. Think about it. Think about it. I'm 39. I'm older than a lot of you. I am older than 75% of my audience. 75% of my people are under 35. Right? My life is what? Great. Scott Adams is 59. You think Scott Adams is living a bad life? You think Scott Adams is not living the dream? Scott Adams is 59. You think he's not living the dream? Right? Trump is 70. Donald Trump is 70. You think he's not living the dream? Donald Trump? DJT? 70. If you define yourself at the lowest point of your life, at the biggest mistake if you made, then you're never going to see that there's so much more to life. You die before you've ever lived. Who is it that said that most people don't die, most people actually never live? Most people have never lived alive. And people don't get that. So people think, oh my God, I made a mistake, and they define themselves on that mistake. That becomes who they are, and then their life is over. But instead, the way I look at it is I'm 39. I'm pretty damn happy with my life is. I'm way happier than where I was at 19 because I didn't have these mindset tools at 19. When I was 19, I didn't know any of this stuff, right? When I was 19, if I had a pimple, right, you feel like, oh my God, I have a pimple. This is like a disaster. Because that's what society teaches you. You better get Zit cream. You better go buy Clearasil. You better do this. You better do that. Oh my God, you got a pimple. What a disaster. What if you have a date? You look at it now, you're like, man, what a frivolous way that we grew up. Nobody taught us any better. Nobody ever actually instructed people how to live and what to focus on and how you can focus on one flaw or you can focus on other great things. I had a weird moment the other day, which is love yourself the way you love your baby, which parents can kind of understand. So I have a daughter, 3 months, 4 months old, and I love her completely. I don't think she has flaws, right? I think her flaws, whatever they are kind of cute. And I thought eventually you start to think about the future, and I go, eventually she's going to get older. She's going to struggle with body issues, and how am I going to insulate her from the Kim Kardashian kind of mindset, all the really crappy stuff out there in the culture, and how will I insulate her, and how will I educate her and instruct her. And I thought if my daughter were chubby, I wouldn't not love her less, but she would love herself less, right? So I'm not advocating for obesity acceptance. I'm not advocating for healthy at any size because that is actually is unhealthy. So I'm not arguing that way, but what I'm explaining is that nobody's perfect, and if you focus on your imperfections rather than what you have going on, you're never going to go anywhere in life. That's just the way it is. So yeah, you can't define yourself on the lowest point, but that's how people want to define. I mean, look at how the media will try to define me, right? I've written 3 books now, produced a major documentary, written all these articles. I have a podcast, major political activist, major mover and shaker. And they try to define me as a guy 5-10 years ago who said something that I didn't even say because it's all photoshopped and fabricated. That's how they want to define you. They want to define you based on something that I didn't even say 5-10 years ago. Why? Because that's what culture does. They do it to you too. They do it to me in a very high profile, very public way. But to you, this goes all the time. Oh, people want to bring you down. Remember? Oh, you did that thing one time. You should really focus on the bad things you've done. Rather than say, hey, you did something wrong or you have a flaw, why don't you focus on how to improve and go to the next level? Do I ever take days off? Why would I want to take a day off? I talk to people from around the world about great subjects, and what I do is, because I'll teach you a focusing issue, right? I am one of the most hated men on the internet. With Steve Crowder, the haters really get to him. They really bother him. Because he's a younger guy. He's younger than I am. And he hasn't, read and applied growth mindset to his life. But with Crowder, the haters really get to him. I'm one of the most hated men on the internet, but people say, Mike, how do you deal with the haters? The answer is I don't, because it's an issue of focus. Right? I can choose to focus on my haters, or I can choose to focus on my daughter, on Shauna, on my, life, on the people who want to be inspired, who want to live a better life, on my work. There's a whole choice, right? There's a choice on that. So Kelly says, I'm not thick-skinned. Well, you've now defined your identity. So remember when I said, don't define your identity based on the lowest point of your life. Well, there's a lot to unpack there, because you have an identity and you define yourself based on the identity. And you have a story that you tell to protect the identity. So Kelly just said, I'm not thick-skinned. Right? That is her identity now. So therefore, she will never go into sales, which is the only place you can make real money these days. She'll never go into online commentary. When she goes to parties, she's going to be afraid to express her truth and to share her truth. She's going to be afraid to have open communication with people and open relationships because she's going to be afraid of judgment. Because she's not thick-skinned. So that means she's afraid of criticism. So this is the way you define yourself. And the answer is, well, how do you know you're not thick-skinned? Nobody starts off as thick-skinned. Just like nobody, it'd be like me saying, when I was, I've been really thin, and I've been really fat, and I've been jacked, and I've been everything in between, right? Well, if you told me, if you're, 100 and politics please, you're blocked. Whoever said politics please, comment again so I can block you. I had to block another hater, so I'm going to go ahead and block you. There is no difference between politics and mindset. This is the problem people in America have. I am talking about politics. I am talking about politics. You're just not smart enough to see, right? That's why you can't be here and attend my lectures and talk to me, because this is political. This is political because if you don't have your own mindset, if you can't control your own life, how can you save America? If your own life isn't in order, look what a disaster Barack Obama was for the country, right? Because he has no mindset. He's very needy, very weak-minded person. Very, very weak-minded. Very, very weak-minded person. So if you can't get your own life in order and have a vision for your life, how can you get a vision for the world, a shared vision, right? Trump was elected because of his mindset. I said Donald Trump is the first mindset president. He had a vision. That's why he didn't need a political machine. Before Trump, the only way you could get elected in office is you had to use the political machine. Trump had the mindset. Mindset is politics. They are all connected. They're all connected together. So I am talking about politics. And if you can't see the connection between what I'm saying and the connection to politics, then that means you can't be here. You're not ready for the high level stuff, right? Go watch CNN or read National Review or something and get very basic, bitch, boring, unnuanced takes on politics because there's no theme, right? When am I gonna be around Kansas City? No plans to. No plans to. CNN equals National Review. Yeah, it's the same thing, really. National Review published an issue against Trump. Always remember, never forget. Why aren't you working on pushing candidates for 2018? Why aren't we? Well, I am. Are you? Have you held a MAGA meetup yet? Right? Now you see the connection between politics and mindset. Somebody said, why aren't we working on getting our candidates elected in 2018? Well, I am. What are you doing? See, that's mindset. Mindset. Mindset is politics. You've held 2 MAGA meetups in New Jersey. Good to you. I am black and I voted Trump. I have a mind of my own. Welcome. Push 2018s after we get the vote today. Well, I mean, we gotta pick our candidates, right? We need the rhinos gone. I agree. We should be focusing on that. And RyanCare failing will be a big blow against RyanCare, or against Paul Ryan. And if we get rid of Paul Ryan, that's going to send a message to people. What is going on? You agree that Trump is with the Rand Paul plan and let RyanCare fail, for sure. I've talked about this many times. RyanCare needs to fail. Scott Adams said he's helping with the California governor's candidate's campaign. Wouldn't tell you who it was. Well, that's interesting. You should be able to figure out who that would be. Right? Think that one through. Who has been talking about wanting to run for governor? And who would be a big candidate, a big thinker for California? Who would be the biggest candidate, the biggest thinker, the biggest visionary who would run for governor in California? Right? Think about that. He said it's not Peter Thiel. Would he tell you if it were Peter Thiel? That would be the question. The question you got to know is, would he tell you if it repeated to you? Right? I wouldn't tell you. I don't go around telling people. When have you ever heard me talk about anything that I've done politically? Name one person that I'm telling you that I've helped politically. Right? See, here's what happens when you become more self-actualized as a person. The game isn't for people to know what you're doing. The game is for people to not know what you're doing. I work hard for people to not know who I'm helping, what issues I work on, what I'm involved in. None of you have any idea what I do, who I help, who I talk to. None of you have any idea. Because that will make me less powerful. My power is for people not knowing my power. Does that make any sense? Real power is for people to not know how powerful you are. Ponder on that one for a while. But when you're a young man, you really want... This is a male thing too. When you're a man, this is a male trait. The male trait is you need ego validation. That is the... Because if you're a man and you don't get ego validation, you're not getting sex. And if you're not getting sex, you're not reproducing. If you're not reproducing, you're an evolutionary failure. All right? So it's fundamentally a male trait to let people know how much power you have. You really want people to know that you're a player. You're a real deal, man. You're the real deal. Once you do that spiritual work on yourself, then you realize, well, I actually don't want people to know what I'm doing because that makes me a bigger target. That makes me a target for false flag operations. That makes me a target for honeypot stings. That makes me a target for people to spy on me, to frame me for crimes. Right? That's the way you think. That's the way you think. It's a different game. The game changes if you do that spiritual work. But as a man, you always want... This is the thing, too. This is the thing that a lot of people don't really realize, is that the thing that a lot of people... Men and women are both needy, but in different ways. Men and women are both needy, but in different ways. All right? Women want to be seen as beautiful. Men want to be seen as powerful. It's a different vibe. So we're both needy, and this is another way society harms people. They don't tell people that the way you attack a man is to emasculate him, to make him feel unpowerful, to make him feel small, right? The way you attack a person is to make them feel small. And the way you attack a man is to make him feel like he has no power or influence. But those attacks don't work on me because I'm self-actualized as a man. And I hide it. But when I was younger, that's how you would get me. I mean, if you really want to hurt a man, you just tell him he's irrelevant, has no power. And if he believes that, you're done. The way you attack a woman is you make her feel that she's not beautiful, she's not wanted, she's not desired. That's where men and women are the same but different. And this is why the media lies about me, because they don't talk about my true nuanced views. Right? They'll go, oh yeah, Cernovich said all women care about is being beautiful. He hates women. No. We are the same but different. We're the same in that we want to feel that we matter. We want to be wanted. The fundamental human need is connection, and from that arises the need to feel wanted. Men generally are going to be wanted if they have power, if they have social status, if they have wealth, access to resources, and women are generally going to be wanted if they're beautiful. Is that fair? I don't talk about what is fair or not. I talk about reality as it is. Thus, you realize fundamentally, though, it's a deep need to want to be wanted, but then you got to figure, well, why do I have this need? Why do I care so much about the acceptance of other people? Most of whom don't even care about me. And that's another thing about the internet that a lot of people don't realize, is that when people hate on me, do you think my daughter cares that the internet is mad at me? Charlie Daniels actually had a good... Charlie Daniels. He's writing a book. I'm going to read his book. And he's a, country music singer. Yeah, even though it's not technically country. And he said, when you go to perform, you don't look at the empty seats. Whatever problems you have aren't in the ticket price. Your problems are not in the ticket price. What that means is every time you do a show, you have to bring it. Well, I think of that mindset when I'm hanging out with my daughter or my family and my friends. Whatever people are doing, attacking me on the internet, lying about me, destroying my reputation, harming me, that's got nothing to do with Syra. That's got no, right? She doesn't care. So that brings clarity to your life, and to know that you need to focus in your own life on what is important. You can't focus on the negative thoughts, the negative emotions, the negative karma being sent your way. You have to say that this isn't what other people sign up for. But nobody teaches you this, because it's very hard to control people who think this way. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Mike Cernovich, dangerandplay.com, Gorilla Mindset. Go on Amazon and get Silenced, my documentary on free speech. And if you've watched it already, please leave a review. I don't ask. Namaste, I don't ask for much. Namaste, I don't ask for much. But I do need Amazon reviews, because the only way I'm going to get Silenced on Netflix is to show Netflix that there's a lot of people who want to watch it and that it's a good film. So every review on Amazon is going to be a really big help. And then, so I would appreciate it. I don't ask much. Namaste. You know, you're watching me is the only thing I need. I'm happy that you just watch and listen. Occasionally I ask. So this is one of the rare times. Please get a copy of Silenced on Amazon and leave a review, because even if you bought it on Vimeo or even if you downloaded it on torrent or whatever, I'm not going to go crack down on that. If you've watched it, please go ahead and leave a review. Thanks for tuning in. Mike Cernovich, dangerandplay.com, Amazon.com. Type in Silenced Movie, Silenced Silenced Movie.